one.
Correct.
Fantastic. So, thanks for inviting me to your shindig. Call it shindig. Now, you can tell my age if I use the word shindig. Nobody uses that word anymore. It's like from the 70s. So, my name is Daniel. Daniel Oke. Before I go into what I'm talking about, I just want to tell you a bit about myself, what I used to do, what I do now, and why it happens that I'm here talking to you today. So, in 2009, well, actually, before 2003, I started working for the Department for Works and Pensions as a fraud investigator. And, as a fraud investigator, and it's a, I don't know, it's a friendless job, because you know you walk into an event like this, you walk in and people start talking because they don't want you listening to what they're having a conversation about, because they knew I was a fraud investigator, and where people are claiming benefits that they're not supposed to be getting, you know, they don't want to be talking about it when I enter the room. You know, so you don't have any friends. Like, you walk in and everybody keeps quiet. And you think, was it me? Oh, keep talking, don't mind me. And they're like, thank you, we finished talking now. Anyway, my job was to investigate people who are claiming benefits that they're not supposed to get. And to do that, I have to drive from Milton Keynes, where I live, to Slough Job Centre, where I work. And that was like, I don't know, an hour and a half drive. You know, you think if you leave early, you'll make it on time. You know, but then you get to the motorway and you find that everybody thought the same idea. I should leave early to get to work on time. So it doesn't really matter what time you leave, there's still always going to be someone on the road, you know, and the traffic is already there. Anyway, I didn't like doing that job. So my job basically was to catch people who are getting benefits they're not supposed to be getting. I have to get up very early in the morning. By 4:30, I'm parked outside people's homes. Well, not right outside their door, but down the street. And I'm watching their door to see if they're going to come out and go to work. Usually, we get tip-off from friends and neighbors. They phone a confidential line and say, he's getting benefits and he's telling people that he's disabled and he's not. So I'll follow them to work. I'll tail their car, take photographs, see them going to work, see them when they come out of work. And then I have to go back to the job center and prepare a case, you know, and take them to the court. I actually had, you know, the police have this seal. It's a badge. It's in a black wallet. You open it, there's a metal badge inside with a green seal on it. So I could actually arrest me. You know. Anyway, that was what I did. In 2009, I think it was in July.
I'll show you something like this.
Yes.
With a badge on.
Yes. What do? You can tell me, but you have to kill me.
No problem.
Yeah, you'll have to kill me.
We are all in the same ship.
Yeah, I had one of those. Anyway, so in July 2009, a friend had started talking to me. I think it was even earlier than it was June 2009. A very, very dear friend of ours, my wife and I. And by the way, my wife's in the car. She won't leave the car because there's enforcement, parking enforcement. Today is her birthday. So I was supposed to come here, do the presentation, and then take her for her birthday. Anyway, yeah, it's all right. So, this friend been trying to get me to come and see this opportunity. And I was like, where am I going to fit it in? I'm out of the house very early in the morning. And if I had to go to court, I'm not finished till about 5:30 because I have to go back to the job center, close the case, or, you know, update the case if it's been adjourned. I have to update the file and do all this stuff, you know, because most of my work is outside of the office. And by the time I'm done and I hit the traffic again to get back to Milton Keynes, I'm not getting home till about 9 o'clock latest. I'm not interested. It's just no time for it. But she wouldn't give up. And thank God, this lady just didn't give up. She kept asking and asking, you need to come and see this. If you're saying you're working so hard, if you're saying that you hate your job, if you're saying that when you enter a room nobody's is talking anymore, it's like, yeah, come and take a look. Eventually she wore me down, and I said, okay, I'll have a look. So she took me over to a lady who was Lithuanian, Irina Oliver. So I went to see her. She lived in Luton, I live in Milton Keynes, so it was like 20 minutes drive. So I went to see Irina, and I sat down, and she said, we introduced ourselves, and she said, what do you do? And I told her what I did, and she said, oh, very nice. And she didn't speak very good English. She was like, if you listen to her, if she's telling you, if she's talking to you, you have to listen very carefully, and then you have to glue together every word you've heard and try to make sense of it. That's how bad the English is. So you hear the first word and the fifth word and then the 10th word, and then you glue it all together and say, that's what I think she's talking about. But you know, you work it out. So that's how bad. But when I sat with her and she went, well, I told her what I did, and she said, very interested. Would you like to see what I do? I said, yeah, go for it. You know, so she started talking. She logged into her computer. She started telling me her story. When she came into the UK, doesn't speak better, very good English. And then she saw this same opportunity I'm talking to you about today. She saw it, and she didn't like it at the first instance. She thought, because it has to do with fragrances, but she tested a few of the fragrances. She didn't like them because she stuck the bottle up her nose and it was too strong, and she thought she didn't like strong, so she thought, I'm not going to do that, put it aside. But luckily for her, some family friends came over. One of them saw the kit, the starter kit on the side of the table, and said, what's this? She said, some fragrances, and because, can I borrow it? So that friend borrowed the starter kit, went to work, left it on the dinner table. During lunch, she came back out and collected all the orders that her co-workers had made, and it was half an hour, and this girl had taken over 30 orders, over 100 pounds. Okay, so this girl makes about, I don't know, maybe 40 pounds a day, because she works in a cheese factory, in a sub-zero, like freezer. You go to a freezer and that's where they work. So minimum wage, she's from Lithuania, didn't speak, or Russia, I think she was, didn't speak a lot of English, so what kind of job would you get? You get menial work. But in half an hour, she just took another over 100 pounds. And she works there for like 7.5 hours and makes 40 quid. And so do the maths. Half an hour, over 100 quid, 7.5 hours, 40 pounds. But that's the way it is. People are killing themselves to go work for someone else. And keeping their minds open to see, well, is this all there is to it? Is this what life is all about? Do I need to get up every morning, go there and come back home? Go there and come back home. Every single day, go there and come back home. For linear income. Let me explain to you what I mean by linear income. You see, you might not know this, but there are two ways you can earn an income. There's a linear income. And when I say linear, what does that bring up in your mind? Line up. Yeah? A line. Right? Linear is linear. It means that it's a straight line. Right? And on that straight line, if you can imagine, there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you get up on Monday, go to this place, earn your minimum wage, and you go back home. And then on Tuesday, you do exactly the same thing. And you keep doing that until Friday. And some people, if they're lucky, have to do it on Saturday and Sundays as well. Hurrah! So what happened, and what people don't realize with the linear income is, it doesn't really matter what your skills are. It doesn't matter what your education level is. It doesn't matter how many degrees you've got or master's degree you've got. Nobody's paying you for that. No one is being paid for their degrees. No one is being paid for their education. on a linear basis. You're being paid for your time. Okay? So I don't care if you have a master's, I don't care if you're a professor in a university. If you don't go to that place where you work and clock in, bring that card. Some people have a card, some people have a register. You sign in your name, what time you arrive, and at the end of the day, you sign in what time you're leaving, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're paying for. They don't care about your skills. If you don't show up, would they still pay you?
No.
So they're paying you for your time, not your skills. Okay. Now imagine on a linear income, you got up in the morning to go to work, and something happens, unfortunately, you're unable to work. What happens to your income then? It stops. Because if you can't clock in and clock out, you can't earn.
They only pay for your time. So
They pay for your time. Right. So somebody told me this once when I was still struggling with, I've got to go to work, my job. And that person said, we're in a restaurant, so there was a glass of water on the table. He said, Daniel, he said, stick your finger into that glass of water. And I did. And he said, now take it out. And I did. He then said, now show me the hole you left behind. Because we think we're important to our bosses. We're not. Because if you go, they'll fill your space with something else.
Same day.
The same thing. They'll call up an agency and say, send somebody else.
Same day.
We're not important to where we go to work. They don't care. As long as their job is done and the CEO can maintain his house on the hill where you have to get in through the gate and you drive for an hour to get to the house, right? And all the children are in America or they're in Japan or they don't go to school in the same country as you're in, and they're all in boarding school in some, but when you clock in and clock out, you're financing that. When can we finance ourselves? Okay? The second kind of income is called residual income. Now, residual income is so different from linear income. Residual income, if you use the word residual, what does that strike up in your mind? Residue. Residue. It starts to garner a thought of something remaining after. You understand? So, for example, somebody poured petrol on the ground and set fire to it. And then they put the fire out, but you leave. And I come back the next day, you can tell there's been a fire here. That's residual evidence. You understand? Although the fire is gone, but you can still tell charred remains and stuff like that. Residual income, well, it's not charred remains, but the way it works is this. It allows you to exert your energy to create something, but you create it once. And once it's created, it continues to pay you over and over and over, even though you did the work once. Unlike the linear income where you've got to keep doing the same way. You remember the old typewriter? Clack, 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 clack. Clack, 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 clack. That is linear income. You type and type and type, and then you bring it back and do the work and then you bring it back. Linear income is that, but residual income is the kind of income you make if you're into property, for example. You buy the house once, you repair it, you put it up for rent. And forever and ever, as long as there are people, tenants living there, they'll pay you. You don't have to go and do the work preparing the house every single time. You do those ones, you buy it once, it's now yours. Now that is a residual income. Another kind of residual income will be a book. You write a book once. When somebody 2 years later wants a copy of that book, they don't ask you, oh, friend, can I have a copy of that book? Would you write me one? No. You go to the bookstore and buy it. Yeah. And the truth is, every time somebody buys that book, there's money in your pocket. every time somebody, but you don't have to write the book over and over and over. You only do the work once. That's residual income. It's like building a pipeline, right? If you imagine you build a house in I mean, we're all from Africa, I'm from Nigeria, and you know, you all understand what a village is, right? You've got a town, and then several miles later, through forest on both sides of the road, you get to a village.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you build your house in the village because you're fed up of the town. But in a village, you might not have pipe-on water. You might have a well, or you might have a river. So let's imagine there's a river. Now, linear income will be for you to get up every morning. If you want to have a bath, you want to make a cup of tea, you want to wash your dishes, you want to get buckets, go to the river, dip the buckets in, come back home, and put it into something like this. Yeah? And then from here, you get your dishwashing and all that stuff done. So, the problem with that is, if you got up in the morning and you stuck your foot into a hole and broke your leg, then you can't go to the river to get more water. If you can't do the time, you don't have water, right? That's linear, but residual income is, suppose you now think, okay, the river is 2 miles that way. What if I go and buy some pipes, right? I buy some pipes, I dig a channel all the way to the river, I sink the pipe down, put a pump machine, and then I pump through the pipe to my house, 2 miles away. How would I get water then? I can pipe the water to my home with a pump. Do you need to do that every time you need water? You do it once. But now in your house, you turn the tap, there'll always be water. You do the work once, you'll always have water forever, right? Residual income. Do you know that people don't know this? They don't know the difference. They just stick to the linear plan. 40 years plan. They retire on a quarter of the income they were earning whilst they were working. That's what people do. You work for 40, 45 years, and then on your retirement, the government tells you, oh, congratulations, like the Queen will send you a letter, and then they say you're retiring on a quarter of the income. Now that you're older, your body needs an MOT every other month. And then they're telling you this is what you're retiring on, that much. Oh, by the way, you do get discounts on transport. Congratulations. Congratulations. You know, and people just settle for that. What if you could do something now that gives you an income, sure income, every single month, forever? And if something happens, something were to happen to you, you can will that income to your children. So the income here is willable. Just like you can leave a house behind. Just like if something happens, I'm an author. When I started this business, in 5 months of starting, after 5 months of beginning this business, I didn't have to go back to that dreaded work I didn't like. But I stayed for another year, but I was already earning enough not to need to go back. About 9 months later, I qualified again at another level, and then I stopped working. And then I did something that I always wanted to do, which is to write my book. Right? You get this on Amazon, you know. So now, I earn a residual income from this. Every time somebody buys it, I get paid. And also earn a residual income from the business. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not showing you that what dreams may come. Many people have put it away that what's the point in dreaming? It's never going to happen anyway. You and me. You understand? It can happen. And I will work with anyone who wants to learn a bit more with it. But my brother here will leave you some leaflets so that, not in a minute, but I'm going to round up in a few minutes. My brother here will leave you some leaflets so that if you want to learn a bit more about what we do, you need to call the numbers on there, either Tina or Biola,
Okay.
and they will get in touch with me and I'll come and meet you at home. But let me finish my story. So what was it that Irina showed me, this woman that couldn't speak a lot of English? What did she show me? When I sat there, she told me what she did. She told me how long she'd been doing, 2 years that she'd been doing this. And then she showed me how much money she was making every single month. She was making £7,000 per month. £7,000 per month. That was 2 years into that business. Now let me ask you, now, imagine you keep doing what you're doing now. In 2 years' time, could you be earning £7,000 a month?
No way.
Right? Okay? So that convinced me I want to do what you're doing. So she said, so what do you think? I said, well, I don't know. Because I had my poker face on. I don't know. I said, because it has to do with fragrances. I said to her, maybe my wife might be interested. I was interested. You know, like when you see a duck. How many of you have seen a live duck? You see the duck on top of on the surface of the lake or the water. It's smooth like that. So smooth. But you look underneath the water, you see its legs kicking like that. That's where I was. I didn't want her to see that. I thought I was like smooth. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell my wife if she's interested. So I didn't show any excitement in her presence. When I got home, I said, honey, you need to see what I've seen. Oh my God. That was where I was at home, and I was like shouting. I said, you have to come with me to see Irina. And what I did was, I picked up the phone and we called 6 other people. And they came with their car, we had our car, and we took 2 cars, went back the next day to Irina's house. And I knew, like, unless somebody is not really thinking, unless they're really stupid, if they see what I saw, there's no way they're not going to sign up. £7,000 a month, you know, and all of us speak good English. She could not speak English, and she still did it here. You know, so all of us went over. There were 7 of us, and she did exactly the same. Told the story, showed the presentation. Everybody got started. So that's how we got started. 5 months later, I'd hit the top of the first level, Golden Magnolia, and 9 months later, you know. So I started writing my book, and the company opened in Nigeria, so my business boosted. One of the people I took the next day, she was actually at the cusp of moving to Nigeria at that time. She wanted to go back to the country, you know, she thought she had enough to settle down. She came back anyway, but she took the business to Nigeria because it opened there, and she was one of those who qualified very, very quickly. Helped me to also qualify at a higher level. And then the owner of the office of the shop, the distribution center in Nigeria, closed. Didn't listen to what the company was telling her, and the company closed it down. So when they closed the shop down, it's about 2 years later, my business kind of fell. But luckily, because I had the book and I had other things I was doing, I didn't pay the business a lot of mind going forward, and it declined and declined. Until my wife, after 19 years working for the company, remember, like I said, you put your finger in and see if it leaves a hole behind. After 19 years of working for, I don't know who knows, heard of the company, Computer Center. Computer Center, she worked with them as a trainer. They sacked her, right? And then she started looking, she was 55 when she lost her job. Today is her birthday, she's 56 today. And she started looking for another job. And everyone kept saying, no. And it's very embarrassing for you. So I can't even get a job. So eventually she just decided, that's it, I'm not looking for work again. I'm going to do this business. Right. So she re-registered, and I then started from scratch. in May. In May, from scratch. And because I knew exactly what to do, I'd done it before. In 3 months, I qualified again at the level that I was before. This is my promise to you. If you want to know more about it, I welcome you. Right? Somebody either walks through a door and decides, I'm going to walk through that door and I'm going to get to that other place. Or they look through a window. Right? They're not ready to walk through the door, but they want to know what it is. I don't know where you stand today. Either walk into the door with us and we can work with you right away. You can start getting results. Or you're looking through the window, but you're getting ideas of where this could go. Right? Normally when I do a presentation, it's a video presentation. It's 6 minutes long. I play the video because not everyone can stand up in front of other people and speak. So we developed a video, makes it easier for every one of you. Anyone can do it. If you can click a button and play a YouTube video, you can do this, right? So we've got a 6-minute video you can send out to people and or you can sit with them and say, watch this. And it explains and gives you an overall overview of what it is. You can have that video, but what I want to do is to work on a one-to-one basis with you. I know how to build this, and I know how to help people. And if you're an African, you must understand things about extended family. So right now, I have adopted all of you. You're my brothers and sisters and cousins and, what have you. And the lady I'm working with, Tina, I've only just met her because of this gentleman here. Right? But I've started to work with her. I've traveled, I've used my own petrol to go and help her build the business. And how long have I known Tina? When did you get started?
July.
July?
Yeah.
In weeks?
3 weeks.
Yeah. 3 weeks, right? How long have I known you? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Yes. And what did you achieve last?
9%.
Yeah. It's already started to grow. Same as Tina. So if I can do for people I've just met, I can do for you as well. But you need to walk through the door. Or if you're looking through the window, gather the information with the resolve to eventually walk through the door. Right? Eventually walk through the door, because nothing happens until something shifts. Right? Nothing happens until something shifts. Until you actually physically, if you're saying, oh, I need to move this carpet, and then you go back and sit in the house, the carpet's going to stay there. You understand? You've got to physically come and start rolling it up before that carpet is removed. And I'll end with this. There's a story about an old man and his dog. This old man has a wonderful dog, gone on in years. Like dogs age double the age of men, of human beings. And the dog is an old dog, about 12 years old, sits in an old man's living room near the fireplace. So the dog sits near the fireplace. And one day a visitor came over to visit them. So the visitor is sitting by the right side of the old guy, and the old guy is sitting in front of his fireplace smoking a pipe, and they're talking. And as they're talking, the dog occasionally would let out a yowl. And they both look at the dog and then continue talking. And then 6 minutes later, the dog would do exactly the same thing. And then 12 minutes later, the dog would do this. So the visitor got fed up of it and said, "What's wrong with your dog?" And the man said, "Oh, you're talking about Charlie." Well, he said, "You see, where Charlie is right now in front of the fireplace is his favorite spot. He loves to get the fire, the warmth of the fire. He likes to lie down there in front of the fire." And he said, "So why is he yowling?" He said, "But the thing is, where he's lying down now, on the floorboards, there's a nail sticking out through the floorboards. But the dog goes and lays on it because it's his favorite place. It's comfortable there, comfort zone. And so when he moves, when he shifts, the nail digs into him and he will let out a yowl. And then the friend said, why the effing doesn't he move? And the man said, well, he's comfortable there. You know what, we have comfort zones? So all I've known, I go to work, come back home, and then I bitch about my boss. Oh, it's so cheap. Yeah, what they're saying that I should do. They called me up today, they knew I was off, and they called me up, so I have to do a shift. Blah, 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 blah. And then you go do it again. You yowl, and you go do it again. You yowl, and then you go do it again.
My choice.
You do have a choice.
Yeah, over there, if we still stay there.
Yes, if you stay there with all the pain. Well, we're providing people an alternative view of life. Do that. I have not held down a job. I've not had a job since 2010, 9, 12, since 2012. Because it was 2012 that my book was published. And I decided I wasn't ever going to work again, right? So that is me done.
Right.
How many of those do you have?